friends and family.
It's all about sharing a feast and cheers.
It's always been happy cause the children are dear.
It's all about peace every time of the year.
If only I could see your face again, not behind the screen at the other end.
If only we could party, kick back your boots, just let me.
Wishing Christmas time to be together.
It's all about the family. It's all about TNC. What? It's all about the family. Don't fret, don't sweat. You know what it is, cause you know and I know we'll be together again.
We'll go together to be together. It's Christmas time once again, and you know how we'll begin. Spread love and receive blessings from above.
If only I could see your face again, not behind the screen at the other end. If only we could party, kick back your boots, just let me.
Wishing Christmas time we'd be together again.
Wishing Christmas time we'd be together again.
The new channel. The new channel. Hashtag TNC Now.
The views, opinions, and insights expressed in the following shows are those of the host, producers, guests, and viewers. They do not necessarily reflect the position of the channel. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to the new channel. Our passion transforms the community channel that sees all things new. My name is Jennifer Nuya, live streaming from Cavite, Philippines. You're watching Stories from the Fringe. It's 24 days before Christmas, and as you have seen earlier, we have our Christmas Together 2.0. Christmas is best celebrated with family, friends, and loved ones, making memories together, memories that will last us a lifetime. For those who are tuning in for the first time, Stories from the Fringe aims to push for more diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. We are committed to creating a world where individual differences like gender, class, ability, and many others are not only seen and understood, but also celebrated. We can all be a part of this collective vision. Now, in order to make the most of our time together, we recommend that you turn off all distractions, prepare to take mental notes, and just be fully focused and engaged. We have a very special episode today. In the spirit of giving, 15 speakers from different continents and different time zones gathered in a virtual summit organized by Check for Check last November 29, 2022. The program officially opened with a brief message from Check for Check's founder and principal consultant Melvin Phillips. The keynote speech by Avid Hussain, an award winning creative leader and executive producer of Creatives 2, followed next. He underscored the importance of storytelling in all business conversations. Likewise, Toby Nagy posed the question: are entrepreneurs born or made? Another noteworthy speaker, the economist entrepreneur Bart Remes, provided an overview of the 20 mental models to make entrepreneurs master economics. And the panel discussion aligning education to the future of work, moderated by Tudi San Pedro, the managing partner of the Paseo Group, included the panelists Anthony Philip Robles, the co-founder and president of First Services, Gunther Wallendorp, the chief vision officer of the New Nation Education, and of course Toby Nagy, the founder of BCF Coaching Academy, and Bart Remes, managing director Economics in Action. Let's see some of the highlights of the Check for Check Virtual Summit 2022 titled ACE, Accessible Community Education.
What is the idea behind the entire facet of going ahead with accessible community education? It's a very simple principle that I have gone ahead and seen throughout my life, is that when it comes down to upskilling, most of the times you go ahead and you see that it is only a chosen few that are able to go ahead and enjoy this. But what I felt, that when it comes down to education or skill development, it should not be just for the chosen few, it should be there for everyone. When the pandemic hit, a few facts that I went ahead and have pasted here for you. These are the latest figures. And it simply says that in 2025, it is anticipated that the global e-market would be worth 325 billion. And if you look at e-learning, it increases the retention rates by 25 to 60%, depending on the type of skill set that you are imparting. And mobile learning or m-learning, it could reach 80.1 billion worldwide by 2027. And self-paced learning is supposed to grow at a compound average growth rate of 8.2%. E-learning is that the corporate e-learning market could increase by 38.09 billion in the next few years. And corporate e-learning, it takes 40 to 60% less time to complete when compared to traditional. That only 1% of the population has taken an online course. Very simple. Training, which is there, skill-based or otherwise, where it becomes simplified and you have learners who can imbibe it and can go ahead and practice it. So make trainings a viable option for learners with respect to curriculum and cost. More often than not, a person like me, I am also interested in new learnings, but more often than not, you go ahead and you find that the cost for a certain skill set is very exorbitant. And that becomes a major deterrent when it comes down to actually going ahead and signing up for a course. So if we can go ahead and make this as a viable option, chances are that there would be more takers and they would actually benefit. And last but not the least, collaborate on ventures which provide mutual satisfaction and revenue. We are all here. Again, like I go ahead and say, yes, we are here for the society. We're here to give to the community, but then it cannot all be charity. We are here and it is to keep our home fires burning at the same time, but making sure that when it comes down to a viable option, we are the first. Our vision is very, very simple. Through the use of training and skill development services, we hope to alter our society by creating consensus and competent with, and we are sharing that with you as well. The mission again is very simple: the inclusion of skill development in college curricula. Now, more often than not, you find that you have so many colleges, you have them there, and they have the audience. What happens, and when I go for campus to corporate, I find most of them are actually lacking in the basic skills. So yes, they might be good on the subject, but the subject alone does not go ahead and give them the desired job. You need to have a set of people skills along with it, which includes, communication, which includes, teamwork. I can go on and on, which are sadly missing. So more often than not, what you find is that when people they sit for these interviews, they are asked questions about the subject, and they are hired from there. When these people they come into the corporate world, it is like chalk and cheese there, because what they've learned and the practical knowledge that they have to assimilate at that point in time, it just does not match, and most of them they feel that they have not made the right career move. So if we go ahead and we make available, high quality, long or short term courses, which go ahead and help them when it comes down to their soft skills, the people skills, chances are that they would be better equipped when they go ahead with campus to corporate interviews. And anywhere in the world, you have colleges, and once you have the final year students, they are going to be the optimum audience. But those colleges, they actually need to know how to go about it. And people like us, we can actually be change evangelists and go ahead and let them know the difference that we can make to their final crop of students. The assurance of career progression that satisfies trainees' expectations is what we would like to go ahead with. They do not feel cheated at any point in time, or they feel that it is the same run of kind mill kind of a thing that they've already heard before. So we want to go ahead and try and do things a little different. One of the main key areas that we are currently working on as we speak is we are looking out for, colleges and universities where we can go ahead and enroll them in our learning partners program, and to ensure that we can go ahead and start a courseware for them, which entails their second and final year. When they hit the campus to corporate interviews, they are well versed with the desired skills apart from the subject that they have gone ahead and gained proficiency in. So the service that we want to give is that we give the learners what they expect from a course, improve the training experience, incentivize learners, promote a learning culture. So what we at Check for Check are doing is that for every training that we do, we go ahead and we provide them with a courseware. So immaterial of whatever subject that we might be training them on, there is a courseware or a handbook that we go ahead and we give it to them. Point number two is once we finish off with any training that we do, there is an end of course assessment. Once they pass that assessment, we give them something which is known as a certificate of achievement. We just hope that you have a good time today. It's not about going ahead, with just about education or training. If you are from diverse fields, just go ahead and give us your learnings with technology over there as a booster. I'm sure that whatever you go ahead and tell us today, it is going to be of immense value. So that being said, thank you so much, and we'll go ahead and get the summit started.
Kind introduction, Joemma, and really appreciate uh, Ranjit and Jennifer for inviting me for this summit. Thank you so much. So the part of my presentation, I don't have slides and all to show, but I would rather talk about it. Is about the simple thing which these days students as well as professionals forget, is to tell their story. Everything right now is about story, how you're going to put your story, how you're going to tell your story, how you're going to be showcasing your story, whether it's on social media, whether it's on television, whether it's writing. Everybody wants to know your story. Is what has built my career. Stories is what I think is missing, that missing link where in the cave where they were living to now every day you're putting some story. uh, when you put it on your Instagram stories or reels, those are also stories. So from the whole evolution of writing stories on stone to writing stories on Instagram It's just about telling your story. Why is it so important to tell your story? I will give examples and I will only talk about from the industry I am in. Every big director or every big producer, whoever makes a movie or a TV show, their first movie which does really well or make them known are the stories which is personal to them and they know the most. And that is one of the reasons why every big director has told their personal story in their first film or in their first series, because they know it best, because they can visualize it much better, whether what they have gone through in the childhood or what they've gone through in their grown-up stage, they can articulate it much better than writing any fictional stuff. Even if they're writing fictional stuff, they need to know something of that fiction from their personal experiences in their life. So it has to be that person. You need to tell your story. You need to tell your stories because it connects you with your audience, with your business associates, with your clients, and it gives you that kind of comfort level that when you tell your own story, the other person listening to it connects with you at some point, and then it makes it easy for him to start the conversation, to give you the feedback, to ask more questions and familiarize themselves with the kind of experiences you have or you had. That's part of what I do, and that's what part of uh, going forward I can bring on the table, and to help new courses, new learnings, and how we can come together and tell a great story.
Are entrepreneurs born or made? A very fascinating topic, right? So just the agenda for today's or this afternoon or this morning, depending where you're from, or this, and also an author and writer. But the main thing is I'm passionate about education, sustainability, and innovation, right? So, and I continually build businesses in the area of education and innovation. Another business that I built recently is called Asia Venture Lab, which essentially is an innovation. So my question is, how much do you know about entrepreneurship? So, are entrepreneurs born or made? What do you think? Think about that for a moment. Well, whilst 42% of entrepreneurs say they launched their first venture during childhood, right? That's a key thing, because some people discover entrepreneurship really early in their lives. Others tend to discover it later on. But what we do know is we don't know, right? So the question is, are they born or made? We're still not certain. But what I want to do is I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into that and explain that as well. I think are the key factors for success as an entrepreneur or business owner. Some people say a range of things like optimism, curiosity, resilience, discipline, creativity, network, self-awareness, execution, communication, grit, capital, emotional intelligence, passion. The list just goes on and on and on and on. But for my research, there are two primary factors. The first one is, and this is the reality, you are more likely to succeed as an entrepreneur if you have rich parents. All right. So this goes against intuitive thinking that essentially that anyone can be an entrepreneur. Yes, anyone can be an entrepreneur, but we're talking about the reality of more likely to succeed. Now, the question, of course, why is that? All right. So it comes back to a couple of things. First of all, when you have rich parents, you're more inclined to take a larger risk because you have a fallback position. So you take a risk, and then if it doesn't work out, it doesn't matter. You don't fall into a hole. The second thing is you have rich parents. They will also, I guess, will be able to give you network and open opportunities for you. And the third thing it's important to understand is when you have a fallback position, you can run a business that's not making money for a lot longer than other people. So then you can actually outlive other people. In other words, you're not eating ramen noodles like most people would if they're starting a business. So you're a little bit more comfortable and you've got a safer space to work with. All right. The second primary reason that you are likely to succeed if you are an entrepreneur is if your parents have had a business before, right? If they might have a business or had a business. The question, of course, why? Well, the main reason is you can live through your parents and see the mistakes they made or maybe how they did things. So you can actually learn. And what we tend to find is that the parents that have a business will encourage their children to have businesses as well. Most parents would say to their children, get a job and get a good job and be professional. Or even the worst parents would say, go get a government job. Right. So, but that's not the reality these days. With even government jobs, I know here in Australia, they're all contract jobs. So gone are the days where you work for the government, you can't get sacked for 30 years. Now it's like you're on 3-year contracts, and if you don't perform, you're out. Right. So there is no safety. Right. And being safety is actually, or being safe is actually being risky. All right. So interesting, these two primary reasons. However, how we're saying that, of course, it doesn't mean you can't be successful. It just means these two factors allow you to become like more. So the question, of course, can you learn entrepreneurship? Now, I've done a master's in this, and again, the whole idea was, can entrepreneurship be taught, or are you born an entrepreneur? Well, this is quite interesting in my research, what I've discovered, right? Whilst entrepreneurship skills can be taught, the research suggests that the desire or drive to be an entrepreneur is usually not. All right. So anyone can do a course in entrepreneurship, get educated in that area, but it doesn't necessarily make you an entrepreneur. All right. So let's be clear. It seems as though the enterprising spirit must be discovered within the individual and not developed by the individual experience. So like I was saying earlier on with the lemonade stand, some children come along and discover this early. That might be encouraged by the parents to do this. Some people discover this later, and they might be working in an industry. They might have an idea. They might go to their boss. The boss says, no, we don't want the idea. Then they spin off their idea. So it just comes through various stages in life. Some people do it really young. Some people do it in their mid-age. Some people do it in the old age. Some people never do it at all, because what they want to do is have a say coming up. The other question, of course, does education increase chances of entrepreneurial success? The answer simply is no. So I guess a firm with increased education-based human capital is more likely to create employment for others and obtain higher levels for profit once established as a young firm. However, an educated workforce does not increase the likelihood of an enterprise's survival. Now, the question, of course, is, does that surprise you at all? So are entrepreneurs young and energetic? This might surprise many people. No. Right? The number of founders over 50 was twice as large as that of under 25. Again, why do you think that's the case? Well, simply it's because people that have experience might want to go on to start their own business. All right. Typically, people under 25, they're still trying to figure it out. They're going to university, etc. And just a final note, now is the best time in recent history to start an enterprise. The question, of course, is why? Everyone's talking about recession and all this sort of stuff. Well, there are various reasons. There's less competition, and everyone is waiting or trying to figure it out. So people are sitting on scratching their heads or sitting on their hands, trying to look at other people to try and work it out. And due to the changes, we are seeing new windows of opportunity opening every single day.
So I believe that pandemic is a blessing in disguise, professionally speaking, instead of being sorry for myself, since my business of dressing up clients had stopped. It gave me the time to reinvent myself and think of new ideas how to reach out to greater audience. for prospective clients after the pandemic. So um, um, this is how I made myself for me to be visible in the social media and taking all the advantage and possibilities to be visible in any platform that I could be so that the people, um, my clients, my friends, even the community in the social media would always see me there alive and kicking. Because a lot of designers during this time, they shifted to other job. Sometimes some of them they went landed to cooking. Some of them landed to like um, other means of business for them to.
20 mental models to master economics. The official title is 20 mental models for entrepreneurs to master economics. But honestly, I couldn't get it on one slide. So what I'm going to talk to you about here is a couple of mental models so that you can understand how you can use that in a practical everyday way. Uh, by the way, so my contact details are at the bottom of the slide. So if you want to get in touch with me, you have my email address, okay, or you can contact Melvin Phillips on Check for Checks, or of course you can connect to Jennifer Bautista. So let's start with this thing about economics. And the perception of economics is that it's a complete boring stuff that is theoretical hocus pocus that only applies to governments or top bankers or whatever kind of wizards. And you can't use it in everyday lives. And they like to talk about economics through mental models, through mathematical formula. So, which is why I put here my own little mathematical formula. By the way, I studied quantitative economics, so I went through the whole stack of mathematics myself. So, which brings us to a very basic example of the 80-20 rule or the Pareto principle. So it's called 80-20 or Pareto principle. All right. So what does that mean? That is a famous mental model. If you don't know it, no worries, I'll explain it to you. It was discovered by a man, an Italian guy, Vilfredo Pareto. He's an engineer and a sociologist. And so he was planting seeds in his garden in Italy. And then he discovered that actually out of all the vegetables and the fruits that he could grow, okay, 80% came from 20% of the seeds that he planted. And so the rest was not as effective. Then he started to extrapolate that to other parts of his business. And eventually he discovered that 80% of your success is generated by only 20% of your inputs.
When we discuss a learning management system, typically one would be talking about somebody that would be studying for a degree or something higher. And obviously it's a useful tool to have because it can save you time, it saves you money. And it allows the individual to prioritize their learning process, which is key because I think if you doing online, any online training or course, and you're not limited to the time, the task will always expand to the time that you give it. And so a learner can become tired and bored with what they're studying, and they look for the next shiny object.
Yeah, sure. I guess from my perspective, I've come from an education background where learning management systems are part of the, I guess, the whole structure. And I myself use one. I use Thinkific platform as a learning management system, and it allows you, I guess, one to structure your courses really in an efficient manner. So one of the things, of course, is you've got a whole bunch of information and knowledge. Is that how do you structure it most effectively?
Says in relation to the question earlier, I would like to say that education is a matter of impartation. Because lately, since I was a student and when I became a professor and administrator, I noticed that education is always being treated as a commodity. It's always being treated limited to products as well, alone. But we have to understand that this is not just about sharing information or giving details, which the internet can also provide, right? But
Mhm.
when you talk about the whole education process, it is more of impartation. So we impart who we are. We're not. It's not just what we share to the people or the words, but it's also who we are as a person.
Welcome back, everyone. We'd like to acknowledge our partner,
All right, so there you go, dear viewers. We've seen the first part of the highlights, key highlights of the Cheque Virtual Summit 2022. So when we come back after the break, we'll again see some of the speakers, which include Alan Stevens, also Her Excellency Dr. Monica Grant, and Angelo Ortega. So we will listen to them later when we come back.
Greenfield District, the future-ready district, home to Greenfield Tower. With its state-of-the-art fiber optic internet backbone, connectivity is built right into residences like Twin Oaks Place. 15 flourishing hectares right at the heart of Metro Manila, so that at work and at play, we can plant a future where dreams grow. Greenfield District, the future-ready district.
The new channel is an alternative new media platform of online shows for people on the go. Please watch all our shows as seen on the screen. Imagine having your own show, your own playlist, your own content, but we make it easier for you. TNC aims to transform the lives of our viewers through engaging, authentic, and original content. Our vision is to become a global 24/7 live stream channel that showcases Filipino talent, global influencers, cultural intelligence, and ingenuity. Thank you so much, dear viewers, for always supporting Stories from the Fringe. You can watch us live or on replay via Facebook or YouTube. Follow us on IG, listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just search hashtag TNC Now. For sponsorships, please email now at anewchannel.com or send us a DM. Enjoy these life-changing shows because we made them just for you. So earlier, we saw some of the key highlights of the Cheque Virtual Summit 2022, which was slated or held last November 29, 2022. Now we go to the second part. We have international profiling and communication specialist Alan Stevens from Australia sharing how to lead your clients and staff for greater and faster profits. While Lana Lise Roy from South Africa asks the audience, is emotional intelligence and creative intelligence the new currency for entrepreneurs? Meanwhile, the panelists, Ed Leong, an exponential digital transformation consultant, Paul Debro of the Debro Collective, Lana Lise Roy, CEO of Goats to Unicorns, and myself share the benefits of becoming an exponential organization and how company owners can begin their transformational journey. The panel moderator was Martha Mock, the founder and director of Super Confidence Coaching. Earlier, we also listened as John Guarnes, a global fashion designer and the CEO of John Guarnes Atelier, shared how we can reinvent ourselves and explore limitless possibilities despite setbacks. At the same time, IT consultant and founder, Chief Technology Officer of Compris Technologies AG, Thomas Foweter, gave an analysis of the top problems on Earth and a proposal of a solution that can resolve them all and how to improve education. Also, Her Excellency Dr. Monica Grant from New York City, USA, highlighted that we can leverage technology for good. And Angelo Ortega, the Sherpa of Retrodomus Coinco, based in Chile, said that we can combine ecotourism in the fourth industrial revolution, helping people become closer to nature and to God. So let's see the second part of this virtual summit.
Welcome back, everyone. We'd like to acknowledge our partner organizations, Alan Stevens Pattern Recognition, BCF Coaching Academy, Compris Technologies AG, Creatives 2, Economics in Action, Educator.life, First Services, Game to Unite Incorporated, Goats to Unicorns, International Center Rancagua, John Garnes Atelier, Retrodomus Coinsko, Rotary Passport Club of Social Entrepreneurs, Super Confidence Coaching, the Devers Collective, the New Channel, the New Nation, the Paseo Group, and Yes Tech You. We appreciate your support. Our next speaker will show us how to read your clients and staff for greater, faster profits.
Little bit of my background. I'll go through this very quickly because it'll add to what I'm going to be talking about, because some of what I'm going to be showing you, you may think it sounds a little bit woo-woo, a little bit strange, a little bit out there. But I want to give this explanation to show you that this is all based in science. I've worked, as Jemima was saying before, with the federal police, the tax office, Disney Films and Gillette. it's all about uncovering what makes people tick, to be able to build stronger relationships with people. As mentioned, I'm also a director on the Business of Smiles, and I'm the creator of the hashtag We Together and the Campfire Project. The Campfire Project is a safe place for men and women to be able to come to and share their stories. Now, one of the things is with that, when people come in and share their stories, because they've never had anybody listen to them before, they're coming in quite vulnerable. And for them to open up and to share the story of their life or what they've been through, it really needs to be a protected space for them. But to be able to connect with somebody really quickly is imperative for them to feel comfortable enough to open up. In 4 years now, we've had over 530 hours of conversations, and not once has anybody pulled back. They've all opened up and told their stories. And in the panel discussions, when we brought the people together, not once have they, has there been any bigotry, sexism or racism. And we've got all genders, all cultures and all religions in there. So everything that I do is about building relationships.
Didn't do it in a way that you needed to. And the lesson in life is to always learn, what can I learn from that mistake and not to repeat it. Because if you don't and you do it in the same way, all that will happen is that you will fail again, and you will fail and fail until you actually realize what the universe is teaching us. So in the 20th century, the struggle was around exploitation. So what you knew was what allowed you to conduct business or be able to climb up the ladder of success. And it was generally what you knew and who you knew was your measure of success. The 21st century now is changing, and we're using more of a formula where, how are you adaptable? How adaptable are you in this 21st century? And now it's not just made up of what you know, it's around how you know it, around how creative you are, and also what spiritualness you bring into your life. And what is going to happen now if you are not adaptable? So if you are rigid and you say, this is the way I've done it, and this is the way I'm always going to do it, and this is the way that you will do it because that's what I told you, you will start to become part of a class known as irrelevance.
Transformation really crosses over together. And at the end of the day, they speak about a focus on the customer, right? The idea of, the fourth industrial revolution, the speed and the volume of information that's become available now is driving a shift in consumer behavior. Right? The idea of you have a Facebook app, you can communicate and connect with your friends through an app, you're getting all this information almost instantaneously, and that's driving a shift in customer expectations. And so they take that from one area of their life, and they then expect that in other areas of their lives. So, that instantaneous aspect, for example, comes about, even now in the way that we watch movies. I mean, look at Netflix, right? Who goes down to the DVD store anymore?
Yeah. See, that's great. That actually lead me up to my next question. You have explained a few of them, like Netflix, Spotify. What are some of the top example that are for exponential organization? Who is one of the leaders in that field at the moment, in your words? Let me ask Paul first.
Sure, I think the ones that certainly come to mind in terms of what they've done, Google is usually front of mind. I love what TEDx have done. A lot of it really comes down to, talking about, their purpose and how important that is. And I know that's come up again in some of the previous presentations today. Google's being about organising the world's information. It's a great sort of North Star for everyone in the business. And if you look at the acquisitions they've made and what they've done with the business, it all comes back to that purpose of how they look to organise the world's information. And if I stop with just TEDx as well, how how that business actually transformed when it was acquired by changing its purpose to ideas worth sharing, which I think resonates with everyone, and has enabled them to truly become an exponential organisation in how they've grown the business. So yeah, a lot of it is with those examples. I'm sure the others got plenty to talk to as well. Is really coming back to having that strong and real clear purpose.
Like I have been sitting here for a while and listening to all of you, and I just feel like the energy is pumping. I feel the purpose, I feel the mindset, I feel the trust, I feel the heart into it, and it's beautiful. So our last questions to all of you is that, can you share the possible future for your prospect industry, such as education, technology, or business coaching? What can you share for us the possible future of the EXO in that area? Let's start with Ed.
I'm going to quote a specific aspect of technology. I think that it's going to be huge in the coming years, and that's around blockchain and Web3. That's distinct from just talking about EXO. And what we're talking about is another level of disintermediation. So when the internet first came out, right, the internet eliminated the middleman, right, allowing buyers and sellers to trade directly on the internet. I think the coming implications of blockchain and Web.
It's a maximally ethical socio-economic model, a capitalism upgrade towards a high-tech future of abundance, solving the biggest challenges. We think this is quite unique regarding several criteria, which is probably the first concept to solve all the bigger problems. And just a book came out about the 10 worst problems by a US economics professor, and he sees 10 of these problems as that we also see as the top 10 problems, but we are in alignment. As many people as possible contribute to science and accelerate it. First, by educating people to the maximum, then using psychology to make them collaborate better and understand each other's issues better.
To make it simple. And we're having this conversation on what is Giving Tuesday in America. And so I'm not really sure if that is now a thing everywhere else, but it is Giving Tuesday, and this is where nonprofits go out of their way to get the rest of our money before the year is up, the fiscal year is up. And I remember growing up, it wasn't a thing. I think maybe within the last 5 years, Giving Tuesday has kind of adopted the Black Friday after Thanksgiving ways. And, in America, it's always a reason to get our money before Christmas. So it's not a bad strategy. If people are giving out money, might as well get it while the getting's good. Because, in January, things get very tight. So today is Giving Tuesday. We're going to be talking about philanthropy and giving and how we can utilize technology to do that. I created a slide. It's not necessarily more important than the speech, but if it can come up, it might be helpful just to have a visual. But if not, it's all for the good. Tuesday. And so what does that mean? It means in the world, people want to give. We can look at just how the world has evolved. There is an extreme amount of prosperity in this world today. Yes, we still have poverty. Yes, we still have violence. Yes, we still have war. But it has really decreased, surprisingly, because of the benefits of capitalism. We hear a lot about the negative impacts of capitalism, greedy billionaires and environmental challenges that do exist and are extremely real. But through the positive side of capitalism, you've had institutions being built, hospitals being built, education being pursued that has advanced many nations. And so right now in the world, we do experience a great amount of abundance and prosperity in what is now known as first world countries, right? And we want to help developing and emerging. We're also opening it up to any questions or comments, and we can just flow from there. I know we're on a tight schedule, and I love this program. I really like what you've done here. and going. But just thank you again for your time, and it's always a pleasure to be with like minds and kindred spirits.
Same here, man. Same here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Monica Crum, Angelo Ortega.
Thank you very much for the energy. Thank you for having me here. My name is Angelo. I'm super happy to meet you here. I know that all of you are spread for all over the world, which is super sweet and fun. I don't know how can I start, but let me tell you something about what we are doing right now, because basically I'm working in different process. My main role is like an action man. I can make this thing happen, and I'm not just creating a slide and or organizing or planning. I like to build. The thing that you are seeing behind me is a structure called SOM. We start building domes at least for almost 6 years, but the first dome that we did, it was made it for us as family, and it was 12-meter diameter dome. It's a huge structure. It was handmade. Let's say we built it with our family, my kid, my wife, me, my daughter, my dogs, my father, everyone who was connected with us in terms of supporting us. But after the lockdown, or during the lockdown and between the COVID process, we were discussing some possibilities about this new trend, which is the kind of the sixth trend, how we can deal with the sickness and what we can do during that process, because everyone it was locked, we are locked, no one can produce anything at all, and we discuss that and say, all right, what we can do. We are owning beautiful land, thanks God for that. It's 5,000 square meters, and we are living in almost 500 square meters. And what are we going to do with that? Well, let's make some domes. And we did it. And let me share you the screen. Can I share the screen, right? Yeah, all right. And let me share you the LinkedIn, sorry, the Instagram. At the beginning, it was nothing. I mean, last year we started with this project. Nothing happened. In terms of the place, we just start with this 10. And this 10, can you see my screen, right? No? Can you say? All right. We bought this 10. We made the deck, and then let's see what's happening. We put it on Booking, we put it on Airbnb, and then a lot of people coming to the place. Then at the beginning of this year, we start this other structure, which is the SOM. Then a lot of people again. A friend of mine gave me this jacuzzi. It's an extra jacuzzi, and say, this jacuzzi is for you, Angelo. Maybe you will be more useful for you. Then more people coming again. And we are now thinking in the idea how we can share that in a way that we can crowdfund this project for different kind of people, and we are evaluating this platform that is called OnCo. OnCo is one of the ways that you can create a co-ownership, because sometimes people's minds is everything for me, all for me, education for me, business for me, money for me, me, is super self-sufficient, self-development, and self-all. Therefore, we're having a connection, a good relation with God, and God provides us enough for a living, enough for everything that we need. And That's one of the other side of the person that need to be developed, and is the spiritual side of the entrepreneurial condition, you know, because mostly everything is centralizing in human development, you know, and part of the human development is your mind, your heart, but your relation with something or someone who is more than you. Because when you are not having enough forces for finishing this project, you cannot do it with that, you know. Is our key. During this time, we are researching different alternatives for growing, and also I'm leading a language school where we are teaching people for free, you know, for free. And how you can teach people for free is difficult, because all people have to be covered, you know. You have to pay the bill, you have to pay the water, you have to pay the electricity, you have to pay the rent, pay the score, for everything. Everything is being transmutated.
Angelo, to be honest, or Angelo, to be honest, I was really touched as well. It was a really beautiful initiative, and hoping that a lot of us can, have the same initiative as we move on to the next chapters of our lives.
Our keynote speakers, our resource feature speakers, moderators, and hosts for selflessly sharing their time, their talent, and effort in making this event a meaningful and impactful experience. We really appreciate you, which gives me hope that this interconnectedness that we began here is just the beginning to co-create more massively life-changing collaborative projects at this critical time of digital disruption. So together as a community of thinkers and doers, we solve the most pressing problems our world faces today and bring hope to millions. Thank you once again, and ad maiorem Dei Gloriam. Thumbs up the Cheque Virtual Summit 2022. It was a very meaningful and impactful summit experience. You can follow Cheque on Facebook, and also from their website, checkforcheck.com. It is also available in LinkedIn. Just search Cheque. Thank you all so much, dear viewers, for being here with us. Thank you once again for deciding to spend your Thursday afternoon with Stories from the Fringe. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening, depending where you are in the world. And we shall see you again next Thursday, December 8th, 10:30 a.m. Philippine Standard Time for another episode of Stories from the Fringe. God bless everyone.